What is up, YouTube? This is AVAULT here, back again today with another new Speed Duel deck profile update for you guys. And today we are actually doing an update deck profile from a deck profile that we did before, which is the Amazonas deck profile. So after the release of Attack from the Deep, the whole meta changed a little bit, and there's like different cards that affect the whole meta now. And I decided to do a updated deck profile for this deck just so you guys can keep updated for competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duels. So just so you guys know, this is a competitive deck. I try to optimize this deck as much as I can with all my capabilities through playtesting and with my experience with playing Amazonas. And this is possibly even, in my opinion, one of the top tier decks currently in the format, on par with Blue Eyes, Relinquished, and the Gravekeeper's deck profile. So Amazonas is actually definitely 100% tier 1 in that spot. It deserves it. It's extremely powerful, great control, great pressure it applies onto your opponent, and let's just go straight right into it. But as always, before we go straight into the deck profile, we're reviewing the card sleeves that we're using today, showcasing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Link Reigns Green version 1, just to pay a little tribute to my, I think the color green just matches her quite well because she used to use Harpies. And there are Harpies inside this deck, just so you guys know as we get into it. And this is really nice plain green sleeves, just to make it simplistic to match the whole theme overall. It looks really neat. So first of all, going into our skill card, as always, we only play one skill card. I mean, as in one option. Usually I will provide variable options with one or two other skill cards, but this skill card is an absolute must play, which is Tribal Synergy. It gives you an intense amount of draw power, really great, and all you need to do is run Harpies and Amazonas. If you control one Harpy and one Amazonas in your hand, flip the skill, draw one card. If you control one or the other, one Harpy and one Amazonas on the field, flip this card over and draw two cards. The draw power and the card advantage you gain from this is just tremendously giving you the upper hand in the duel most of the time. So definitely run this skill. No other skill whatsoever. So with that being said, we're gonna go straight into our monsters. Amazonas Swordswoman, as usual, extremely powerful. That's one of the key cards that gives you pressure on your opponent, makes it hard for them to come around and come by to get over it. Being able to damage them, having them take the battle damage instead of you, is just really pressure intensing during a duel, and really forces them to think around the strategy, and it's not as straightforward as it is. Next, we are running actually three Amazonas Sages right here. Extremely good standard card to have. Pops back row. As Amazonas provides pressure onto monsters to your opponent, Amazonas Sage does the opposite, provides back row pressure onto your opponent. Although there's a lot of cards that can probably stop Sage because it only pops after it attacks, but you can still pop continuous spell cards, equip spell cards, set traps that are not activated, and even field spell cards. Which is really good for Amazonas itself when it's against a mirror match as well. Last but not least, for the Amazonas part of the monsters, we are running two Amazonas trainees. So this card is a new addition which came out from Attack from the Deep, and honestly, this is much more preferable right now in the current meta versus Amazonas Chainmaster, because Amazonas trainee, any monster destroyed by battle with this card is sent to the bottom of the grave instead. Sent into the bottom of the deck instead of the graveyard. And if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it gains 200 attack permanently. So, this monster has great potential into growing into something stronger and stronger. It's really good against decks that, such as Relinquished, because Relinquished heavily would possibly rely on Jin, the Zard rituals. They usually set it face down, but if you destroy it and send it back to the deck, they can't use the Jin's effect to ritual summon. Also Blue Eyes, once again, lots of Blue Eyes decks will play the Blue Summoner guy, which allows them to search the Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck and add to hand. But with Amazon's Trainee, if you run over it, they won't be able to search as well. So Amazon's Trainee is just really good. In my personal opinion, I would highly just recommend running this one instead. So that rounds off the Amazonas monsters, and to round off the whole monsters in total, as I mentioned earlier, we are definitely playing 3 Harpy Lady ones. So some of you guys who watched the old deck profile, I used to run a Harpy Lady 2 instead, which I personally thought Harpy Lady 2 was has a really good effect. Not letting your opponent's monsters attack for 2 turns with its effect popping when it battles. I thought that was really great. But honestly, after playing more and getting more experience in the speed duels, that effect is actually really not that great. At least not for this current meta. Maybe eventually down the road, but Harpy Lady 1 is much more preferable currently, because with its effect, basically all win monsters gains 300 attack. So that includes yourself. And when you have for example, if you have 2 Harpy Ladies, that doubles up on the additions. So Harpy Lady easily becomes 1900 when you have 2 both simultaneously on the field, and 1900 is still that's a really strong beat stick. That's just from a normal summon, which is really great. And even by itself, 1600 attack is still relatively decent. And overall, the reason you run this is just so you can really get tribal synergy, which brings you more card advantage and drawing into the much more core essential cards that will give you the even stronger upper hand. So that rounds off for the monsters in this one, and then we are gonna move into spells. So of course, spell cards, definitely 3 Amazonas Heirlooms. Gives you your Amazon's monsters protection from not being able to destroy by battle. Combos with Amazon Swordswoman extremely well. Your opponent takes the battle damage, and an Amazon Swordswoman doesn't die from the battle as well. And on top of that, any Amazon's monsters that you battle that attacks a monster, you can destroy the attacking monster. So it's just really great. Really powerful once again with Amazon Swordswoman. That's why you definitely want to see this card and Amazon Swordswoman on your hand as soon as possible. And once again, tribal synergy is definitely the to-go that brings you these cards. Next, we're definitely running at least 2 Amazon's villages. Some of you might only run 1, or some of you might actually argue and run 3 instead, because this card is also extremely key, extremely annoying to deal with, honestly, I have to say. Without any back row remove, if your opponent doesn't play any cards that are back row removal based, this is extremely annoying, which basically makes it very difficult for your opponent to overcome all the Amazons, because they just keep coming back. Whenever one gets destroyed, you just bring one back up. Even honestly, right now we have Warrior Elimination, which is a card that completely destroys Amazons, but as long as you have this card, you're still decently safe in terms of being able to bring your Amazons monsters newer back up onto the field, so you don't lose the board advantage from there. At least you're not losing as much. So fairly optional on the ratio that you guys prefer. I like 2 because you do want to see this card quite often in your hand, and you do want to play it as often as you can. Last, to round off the spells, there's another optional spell that you guys can switch around with the ratios. Half Shut is really nice. It's a very nice clutch card, especially when it combos off of Amazon Swordswoman. It can also protect your own Amazon's monsters, or allow you to deal extra damage to your opponent as well when you're attacking. With Amazon Swordswoman, a classic example when it's against a Blue Eyes deck, you half shot your Amazon Swordswoman, half its attack, and swing into your opponent's Blue Eyes White Dragon. Your opponent be taking a chunk of damage, at least 2,000 I believe, from that, which is extremely great. So half shot is definitely one really great card to play. And last but not least, we're going to round off the traps. We're just going to play 3 simple traps. It's the most staple trap of this meta, the Windstorm Vitaqua. No questions need to be asked. It does what it does it very well to buy yourself time, play defensively as well. So that basically rounds off for the main deck, and now I will move into the side deck. In the side deck, I will play one more extra half shot just in case you want to see this card a little bit more often, and you're against monsters that are have much more high attack and really want to bring out that Amazon Swordswoman / half shot combo out really strong. Back row removal, for Dust Tornado. I know Amazon Sage does back row removal, but Dust Tornado, allows you to destroy those back row cards before having Amazon Sage needing to attack right there. And then last but not least, we're running 2 Ready for Intercepting. Mentioned this many times for this current meta. Ready for Intercepting is extremely powerful, extremely useful. in this whole gameplay right now. This card essentially works against all of the tier 1 meta decks in Speed Duel right now. Mentioned before, Relinquish works against it by flipping face down, destroy the equipped card that it's equipped to Relinquish. It works on Blue Eyes to stop Lord of D with the Fluid of Summoning Dragon. Also works on Gravekeepers because all of them are spellcasters as well, and even works really well against Amazons because they're all mostly warrior monsters as well. So whenever you have a mirror match, so it's just really great must-have to run in this side deck. So that basically rounds up the entire Amazon's updated deck profile. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button, give it the thumbs up if you found it useful. This is the most highly optimized I can really personally think it is to be playing competitive right now in Speed Duels, if you are getting into competitive Speed Duels. So be sure to subscribe for more awesome Speed Duel content, as well as Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG content. There's lots of other Speed Duel deck profiles on this channel, fun / competitive tier 1 decks, you know, will all be here on this channel. Definitely be sure to check that out. You know, if you guys are new, definitely subscribe once again to stay tuned and to stay updated for the latest Speed Duel content. And thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. And this is AVAULT signing out.